I was about the age of 5 when my adopted mother called us into a meeting in the lounge, us 3 kids. I've got an older sister who is 2 years older than me. I've got a younger brother that's 2 years younger than me. And they opened up and they told me and us that she was not able to have children, and so they decided to adopt all 3 of us.
What were some of the challenges during that time that you were going through?
A lot of unknowing of what was actually happening, in a sense where my birth father was, in a sense what the reaction would be. Since then we have departed and we are going for a divorce.
Hey guys, hi, what's up, and welcome back again. I know it's been all but a minute and there has been a minor setback, but like I've heard most times from motivational and inspirational speakers, a setback is nothing more than a major comeback. And today I'm bringing to you a brand new episode all the way here in Moore Park, where I was honored to be joined by 2 special guests. But in this episode is a 2-part episode where we'll get to hear one story from a son, and the following week we'll hear part 2 from a father. So please, to find out more, stick around to find out and hear about what he's had to do and what he's gone through. So please, if you do find value in this show, then please subscribe, like, and share with someone that you know of who's possibly looking to find ways in improving his own situation or finding the help that he needs. And again, thank you for joining back in, and let's get back to it. Today we're here at Moore Park, just next to the Bowls Club, and I'm joined by a special guest today, Aaron Winters, who's travelled all the way from Gympie, also with his father, who's joining me later on today on the show. But first up is Aaron Winters, his son. And before we kick off, as always, the round table symbolizes a safe space where stories are shared, voices heard, and lessons learnt. So pull up a seat and join me on the journey, because every story you hear matters. Aaron, welcome to the round table.
Thank you.
Hey, look, it's a pleasure to have you here today. I know we've got a few things that we'll get to learn more about you, as it's also my first time meeting you today, as I got to learn a little bit from your dad. So I hope to find out a little bit more from yourself too. So before we kind of kick off, just quickly, who's been the person in your life that's inspired you the most, and why?
I'd have to say it would be my adopted parents that have raised me and had kept me well, safe, and everything since my birth.
And with your birth, was that here in Australia or?
No, that was in New Zealand.
Were you raised there as well?
Yes, I was raised there and didn't meet my birth father until I was 48 years of age.
And how long had you been away before you caught up with him?
I've been searching since the age of 14.
Okay then, well, look, take us back to your own beginnings of where it all started for you.
I was about the age of 5 when my adopted mother called us into a meeting in the lounge, us 3 kids. I've got an older sister who is 2 years older than me. I've got a younger brother that's 2 years younger than me. And they opened up and they told me and us that she was not able to have children, and so they decided to adopt all 3 of us. So from there we just carried on and lived life to the full as much as we could. My younger brother knew his birth parents, who was part of the family, and my sister and I had no idea who her birth parents were, or birth mother, or anything like that was like. And it wasn't up until 2 years ago when, after a lot of searching, that I found him.
How were you able to find him?
I did. Starting the journey, I started off with social welfare back in New Zealand. Then eventually they sent me a letter to send to Vanish, which is an Australian outfit. The Australian outfit was able to track down certain things of the family, but it wasn't enough for my liking. So a friend of mine from Bundaberg, she said to me to do a DNA test, which was for ancestry. And so eventually we did that and sent it off, and we got several hits.
Oh, wow. So what were you doing at that time before you started to do your search for your...
I've been working on the internet trying to find bits and pieces out, but that didn't really help a lot. Through Vanish, we were able to track down that my birth parents were actually Australians, and from there we were able to track down a few siblings of certain sides of the family, but we weren't able to get a connection through the birth parents. It wasn't until Ancestry hit that we were able to get more information regarding my birth father, which has led now to this.
So when was that turning point for you to actually reach out to your father?
As soon as I did Ancestry, I waited for approximately 12 months before there was a hit on the thing for Ancestry telling me that there's a close relative. And from there it happened that I was able to meet him when I came back to Bundaberg to have a holiday.
And then through a friend of mine, which you already know of too as well, Neil, how did you guys end up at Marcus Missions?
My birth father actually belongs to Marcus Missions. He's one of the people that attends regularly, and he's part of the organisation of it in some form.
And how long have you attended?
I've been down there about probably 6 times, so not very often.
Hey, it's still a start in the right direction. And other than finding out your father and how you were able to do it, what were some of the challenges during that time that you were going through?
A lot of unknowing of what was actually happening, in a sense where my birth father was, in a sense what the reaction would be when we met, the similarities to what it would be like to actually have your own flesh and blood in your life.
Were you at that time with someone, or were you just...
Yes, I was married at the time when I found him, which is, since then we have departed, and we are going for a divorce.
So sorry to hear. Is there any particular reason why there was a falling out? Or?
Yes, there was quite a major falling out when I met my father. We both came over and we both met him. On the plane ride back to New Zealand, my wife gave me the ultimatum of either my father or her. So I chose my father, that I physically really wanted to get to know.
I know that would have been a tough decision.
It was, but we also, I've been searching for him for that many years that it came to the point where I'd rather have my father than what I would a marriage. And since then my life has actually really grown. I have been baptised, and I am living for God as much as I can. He's opening doors, like this opportunity here to speak to the round table. That has been a very amazing blessing.
So for someone that's listening, what's maybe 1 or 2 tips you could say or share from your own personal experience of what you went through?
The satisfaction of actually having some results on the end of it was one of the main things, and I'd say to anybody that's listening that wants to go forward and find their birth parents, absolutely do it. Doesn't matter how many years it takes, but eventually if you get to know your roots, you know you've been wanted.
So if you could go back and tell your younger self 20 years ago, what would you...
Well, if I knew about Ancestry, I definitely would have done that. It's well worth the money, and it's well worth the information you get back from Ancestry, knowing exactly what heritage you've got, what countries that you've got blood relatives from, and all the rest of it. It's a certainly well worth journey to actually do.
So, going forward, Do you have any future goals or projects that you're working on, and what are they?
My main thing at the moment is to spend as much time as I can with my father. In time, I'd quite like to find my birth mother, but I understand that it's just a case of holding back at the moment and spending as much time as I can with my father, which I'm actually now currently living under their roof, and I'm loving every single day of it.
Man, that's awesome. Okay, so before we wrap up, any final thoughts that you'd like to share?
Just go out there and do it. Share what knowledge you've got if you're adopted, and from there you can bound to find your birth parents.
And that's awesome. Look, Aaron, thanks for joining me at this last minute event where we had to switch up the location to where we are now. But I do appreciate you and your dad driving all the way down here. So, mate, thanks for joining me at the round table.
Not a problem. Thanks for having me.